Louise Blouin once embodied the allure of wealth, influence, and creativity, a dynamic force in the international art world, where her glittering salons and philanthropic ventures positioned her as a cultural tastemaker. She entertained artists, dignitaries, and billionaires at her Hampton estates, Dune, a sprawling beachfront property as opulent as her reputation. Yet in February 2023, Blouin's carefully cultivated image crumbled in a drab bankruptcy courtroom in New York. The woman who once commanded the elite art scene now stood before a judge, battling to prevent the sale of her prized estate. It was a last-ditch attempt to shave off financial ruin, one that she could not win. "I haven't made any mistakes," Blouin said definitively, a bold statement from someone who had just lost her home in a court-ordered sale. You can't judge someone because they have an issue once in their life. I'm sure Steve Jobs didn't have a perfect track record. But her one issue was far-reaching, affecting everyone from former employees who claimed unpaid wages to lenders pursuing millions in unpaid debts. For those who knew her during her zenith, her fall from grace was as dramatic as her accent. Blouin's journey from modest beginnings to global prominence was fueled by ambition and charm. Born in a suburb town of Quebec, she grew up in a family of modest means. Her parents ran an insurance brokerage, and she showed early signs of determination. Her break into the elite society came in 1978 when she represented Canada at a prestigious international debutante ball in New York. Her personal life soon intertwined with her rise in financial power. After a brief marriage to David Stewart, the heir to the R.J.R. McDonald tobacco fortune, she married John McBain, a McGill University valedictorian entrepreneur. Together they formed Trader Classified Media, a global empire of classified advertising publications which made hundreds of millions of dollars. In 1998, the couple purchased Dune for $13.5 million. Situated on 4 acres of prime Southampton beachfront, the estate featured 2 houses with 19 bedrooms, 20 bathrooms, 2 pools, and a tennis court. The property became a symbol of their arrival into the upper echelons of society. Their parties attracted A-list crowds such as Calvin Klein and Henry Kissinger. But their marriage unraveled as their ambitions diverged. By early 2000s, Blouin was no longer content to remain in her husband's shadow. She was determined to become a force of her own in the art world. Blouin's foray into the art world was bold and unapologetically grand. She dove headfirst into publishing and acquiring Art and Auction, a struggling but respected magazine, along with other titles like Modern Painters. She envisioned a media empire that would redefine how art was documented and discussed. In her early years as an art world magnate, Blouin seemed unstoppable. She acquired a Manhattan penthouse designed by architect Richard Metzer, adorning it with works by Damien Hirst and Tony Craig. Her company's headquarters in Chelsea featured a frosted glass conference room and a state-of-the-art design, a physical manifestation of her ambition. She also launched the Louise T. Blouin Foundation, an international nonprofit aimed at blending art and with science and human development. Her events were lavish affairs, often described as art devotees, drawing figures like Nobel Prize laureate Elie Wiesel and neurosciences from across the globe. Yet, even as she made waves in philanthropy, cracks began to appear in her media empire. Insiders described Louise Blouin Media as a chaotic workplace plagued by poor financial management and a revolving door of employees. Andrew Goldstein, a former employee, called her leadership impulsive and unsustainable. One editor recalled being informed of missing Social Security and Medicare payments despite those deductions appearing on paychecks. Blouin, however, often dismissed such criticism. "The arts for me is philanthropic," she said in a 2023 interview. "It's helping others through art. It's never a business." Blouin's financial troubles accelerated after the 2008 financial crisis. Her magazine struggled to stay solvent as digital platforms disrupted traditional media. Lawsuits piled up, including one from former employees claiming unpaid wages and another from a printing company seeking over $700,000. As her media empire floundered, Blouin turned to Dune as a lifeline. In 2016, she listed the property for $140 million, hoping a sale would resolve her financial woes. The estate lingered on the market for years, with the asking price gradually dropping. Meanwhile, she borrowed heavily against the property, taking out loans that ballooned her debt to $36 million. By 2021, foreclosure proceedings began, and the IRS placed liens on Dune for millions in unpaid payroll taxes. Still, Blouin refused to concede defeat. She represented herself in court, attempting to halt the auction by questioning the fairness of the proceedings and claiming offers had been made for over $100 million. Her evidence? Email printouts with handwritten notations. Judge Alan Truss dismissed her claims, noting the documents weren't properly entered into evidence. During cross-examination, Blouin's lack of legal experience became glaring. When a witness struggled to decipher her handwriting, Judge Truss asked, "Do you have a clean copy of the documents, Miss Blouin?" Later, when she accused the sale process of being not transparent, the judge reminded her to save such comments for closing arguments. Ultimately, Dune was sold to an anonymous buyer for $89 million. While the sum may seem vast, it barely covered the debts and fell millions short of her ambitions. Blouin's fall is a pragmatic reminder of the cautionary nature of success in the world of art and high finance. Her story is one of overreach and unchecked ambition, a cycle of borrowing against future dreams that eventually came crashing down. To her friends, Blouin remains a fascinating and polarizing figure. She was fun, she was beautiful, she was a great hostess, said a painter who attended one of her many events. But I never really understood where the money was coming from. Her critics, however, see her as an architect of her own demise. Louise believed everything good that happened was because of her, said Ben Davis, a former editor at her publication, and she thought everything bad that happened was a plot against her. Blouin remains defiant, casting herself as the victim of predatory lending and hinting at legal action against her creditors. In phone interviews, she's even suggested that the FBI and district attorneys were investigating her case, though she offered no evidence to support this claim. At the same time, she is planning her next act, a memoir. Tentatively titled Obsessed, the book promises to tell her side of the story and vindicate her legacy. For now, her empire is gone, her Hampton playground is sold, and her reputation is tarnished. Yet Blouin insists she is still a success. "I am one of the most successful women in the world," she said, with an air of defiance that refused to acknowledge the ghost of lawsuits, creditors, and unpaid debts. Her story is a modern parable of ambition, privilege, and the dangers of overextension. A glittering empire built on sand, washed away by the tides of financial reality.